And even if your opinion, not prediction, opinion was, I can't see them doing this is pretty radical. The idea that you would mock people for believing it and saying it was a conspiracy theory, the people had Trump derangement syndrome. I'm sorry, give me a break.
Apologies, I forget that Sam usually doesn't let Emma get a word in edgewise, but I'll address what she said in that video in a second. But before I do, did I mock voters who were worried about Project 2025? Because I don't remember doing that. What I do recall is chastising Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party for offering nothing to voters other than incessant fear-mongering about Trump.
The woke left is in turmoil. Ana Kasparian is firing back at Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland for their attacks on her and Cenk Uygur. As the Young Turks embrace more common sense views, critics like Seder and Vigeland feel threatened, and now they're lashing out. Ana Kasparian has had enough and is hitting back hard. Watch as Ana Kasparian takes on the woke establishment.
Whoopsies. Now, if you watch Beavis and Butthead on the Vanguard YouTube channel, which the Majority Report hilariously treats as some authoritative source, you'd think that TYT is totally in favor of the Trump administration gutting federal agencies. Except we're not. Two things can be true at the same time. These agencies have been deeply corrupted, do engage in waste, and should be reformed. But treating the federal workforce as if they're Twitter employees is a disastrous way to handle it, as we've been learning in recent weeks. But let's hear what Emma has to say about my on-air correction.
It is not the prediction. People make predictions all the time.
Right, I was wrong in my prediction about the election, but
this is not making some type of poly market bet here. Where the outcome we can't tell.
Yeah.
There was abundance amount of evidence of this, and even if your opinion, not prediction, opinion was, I can't see them doing this is pretty radical. The idea that you would mock people for believing it and saying it was a conspiracy theory. The people had Trump derangement syndrome. I'm sorry, give me a break.
Apologies, I forget that Sam usually doesn't let Emma get a word in edgewise, but I'll address what she said in that video in a second. But before I do, did I mock voters who were worried about Project 2025? Because I don't remember doing that. What I do recall is chastising Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party for offering nothing to voters other than incessant fear-mongering about Trump. I also remember criticizing members of the media who simply regurgitated anything the Democratic Party claimed. I also found it fascinating that as the whole of the Democratic Party was engaging in said fear-mongering, they were also playing part in a massive cover-up about Biden's mental decline. I mean, just think about it. Democracy is under threat. We, the Democrats, insist that this corpse stay in the race to give us the best chance of beating Trump and saving democracy. But since Emma brought it up, let's address the fact that inaccurate predictions are totally okay, but only when she's wrong. In the lead up to the presidential race, Emma declared that her final electoral college prediction is that Harris sweeps all 7 swing states and ekes out a victory in Iowa. My only reservation is that I don't want to jinx the results, but I'm trying to avoid the trappings of magical thinking. Well, Emma, the magical thinking is what led you to think that Harris would sweep all battleground states, not that you cited superstitious jinxing. And of course, Trump, not Harris, went on to win all swing states and the popular vote. The average of polls clearly showed Harris trailing Trump. She ran a horrific campaign, stood for nothing, was unpopular with anyone who was paying attention, and wasn't even nominated through a democratic process. She was anointed. How's that for saving democracy?
Ana Kasparian is on fire, pushing back against the same voices who once predicted an easy win for Kamala Harris. Many on the left, like Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland, dismissed the possibility of a Trump victory, only to be proven completely wrong. Yet instead of reflecting on why they miscalculated, they blame racism, sexism, or anything but their own rhetoric. Rather than acknowledging that their messaging may be out of touch, they double down, feeding their audience comforting narratives instead of hard truths. It raises the question, are they misguided, or do they knowingly keep their viewers in an ideological echo chamber because it benefits them financially? Either way, their refusal to engage with reality only ensures more losses ahead. Let's get back to the video.
You worked very hard to launder her reputation and sell her to Americans. So much so that I thought maybe, just maybe, all those Kamala Harris ads that interrupted your YouTube videos were possibly clouding your judgment. But you say you were delusional all on your own. And you know what? I'll take your word for it. But since we're on the topic of issuing corrections, one of your viewers is curious about something that you've said and whether you're gonna correct it. One of your viewers wants to know that since I admitted I was wrong, can Majority Report admit they were wrong, saying there wasn't a Venezuelan gang that took over an apartment complex in Colorado, even though residents were coming out and saying that was going on for months? I haven't heard a peep from the Majority Report. Well, you know what? That's actually a great question. Majority Report seemed to direct their audience to harass me for months for accurately reporting that story. When that story was updated to include a horrific incident in which Tren de Aragua gang members literally kidnapped and tortured a couple that lived in that Aurora, Colorado apartment complex, Majority Report couldn't be bothered with it at all.
A Colorado apartment complex plagued by suspected Venezuelan gang activity in the spotlight again after a brutal kidnapping.
They were pistol whipped, they were beat, they were victimized, they were terrorized.
Police say on Monday night, more than a dozen people approached a man and a woman, forcing them into an empty apartment where they were held against their will, and the man was stabbed. The two victims were released by the assailants after they promised not to call police, authorities say. Police say 19 people were initially detained in connection to the attack. Tonight, 16 are in Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody, according to an ICE spokesperson who says they are all Venezuelan nationals in the country without authorization.
Prior to that, the Aurora Police Department had already arrested 10 Tren de Aragua gang members from the same building. Wow, take a look at that. That's a lot of mugshots for a Venezuelan gang that definitely does not exist and definitely were not victimizing other migrants in addition to low-income Americans in that same apartment complex. That totally didn't happen. Oh, but by the way, that's not all. Earlier this month, ABC News had this headline, quote, ICE carries out raid in Colorado, 100 members of Venezuelan gang targeted for arrests. Alleged members of Tren de Aragua were arrested at an Aurora apartment complex. So I'm just really curious, super curious. Is ABC News funded by Polymarket and that's why they're reporting these news stories? Are they making it up? I mean, it's just, how many gang members do you need to take over a single apartment complex? But look, that's not all. Does Emma have the integrity to admit that she was wrong to gaslight everyone about Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass's austerity measures, namely her decision to cut the budget for a fire department that had already been chronically short-staffed and underfunded?
Ana Kasparian's willingness to call out woke hypocrisy is causing a major rift on the left, as she exposes figures like Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland for pushing misleading narratives. It's becoming clear that many in their audience prefer comforting lies over harsh realities. But as more people see through the deception, the woke echo chamber is starting to crack. The woke idiots, including Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland, have twisted basic issues like immigration into something untouchable, where even calling someone an illegal immigrant is seen as unacceptable. Meanwhile, common sense solutions are dismissed as radical. Ana Kasparian is pushing back and it's making waves. Maybe this is the moment where more people realize they've been trapped in an ideological bubble. At the end of the day, the backlash against Ana Kasparian from figures like Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland isn't about facts, it's about control. They fear losing influence over their audience, which is why they double down on their narratives instead of engaging in real debate. But with more people waking up to their tactics, the days of unchecked woke propaganda may be numbered.